Hey there, comic book friends and fiends. It's Rusty again in front of the great wall of comic book prints. It's time once again for another comic book haul. Hey there, comic book fans. Thanks for being with me today. This is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and I definitely was having some fun there at the beginning of today's video. But I've been having fun also going to Shortboxed to be able to pick up some really decent graded comic books off of some of their recent auctions. And if you guys aren't familiar with Shortboxed, they started as an app that was selling only graded comic books. You could sell on there and you could definitely buy on there. And I've been both. I still am both on there. But in the recent times over the last year, they've been doing more and more auctions. And I've been hesitant to sell, but I haven't been hesitant to buy books on there. And I've stuck with some of the graded books because I still don't think that they are getting a lot of eyes on their auctions. I think it's growing. I think it will eventually take off a little bit more and definitely be a place to be a seller. But I think right now it is a buyer's market on there, and you can find some pretty good deals. And I went on there recently on a couple of different auctions, and I picked up some very decent graded books. You guys will have to let me know what you think once I show you the books. But before we get into it, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. All right, guys, let's just get right into this. As I said, I have been going to some of the recent auctions, and there's all kinds of different auctions going on almost every night, it seems like. And one of the ones that I've been going to recently, because I think I've been finding good value at that, is the $100 minimum bid graded auction. I think there's a lot of words there. And I've been picking up some graded books in there that I think I've had some pretty good deals. Some of them I'm going to break even on, especially these first few, because I'm going to end up having to get these things reholdered. So I probably will lose a little bit of that value that I was going to get if I was intending to sell them. But I think it would definitely make it a better piece to sell, more desirable to sell as well. So let's just get right into this. So first up is one of my favorite books from the 80s. It is not one of the big books or anything, but the creative talent on this book was fantastic, especially this first issue right here. It is Marvel Fanfare #1. You've got this wonderful Michael Golden artwork, cover and interior, storyline with Spider-Man, Kazar. You've got Sauron there. They're in the Savage Land. You've got Chris Claremont writing this book. And you've got a pinup right here on the back by Frank Miller. And then the interior cover, front and back, is all one big giant illustration by John Byrne. I think Terry Alston might have done the inks on that. There's a lot of great creators that went into this. This is a book that I've been working on as a jam piece to get signed. I've gotten Michael Golden, Claremont, Jim Shooter, who was the editor. I've got Al Milgrom, who was the editor-in-chief on this book right here. I guess he was the editor and Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief. I guess that would make more sense. At some point, if I get a chance, I will add Frank Miller to this book. And God forbid if you could ever get John Byrne. I doubt that I will at that point. But this is not the one I'm going to get signed. I've got my own copy. It's a raw, of course, that I'm getting signed. But I love this book. It's a great story. And when I saw this on the auction, is it worth $100? Now, knowing that I'm going to have to get this thing reholdered. And luckily, I put in an order to have this book and the other ones I've got here to be reholdered before the price increase at CGC. I just need to make sure I get them in time. I think there's a cutoff. The books have to be in by February 11th. The order had to be placed at the latest on January 20th, which is what I did. I've got that order ready to go. I just need to get these books packed up and sent out. But did I make a good decision on this one? Well, currently 9.8 go for fair market value is about $160. And I've seen recent sales on auctions where it's been a lot less. And maybe I didn't make a good deal. I don't know. To me, this is one of those books that I'm just going to have it graded, and I'm going to hold on to it in the PC for the long term. This is not going to make or break the bank, and I'm not going to look to make a lot of money on this, but I think it's got a little bit of value in there, and I definitely don't mind having this in the PC. All right, next up, books that I have gotten graded from my PC, and I've gotten my 9/8 on them because I had these books originally. I pulled them right off of the Walden book stand back in the day. All those years I've been holding on to those books, and I got some of these. I didn't get all these books graded, but I got several of them graded. They were in really good shape. But I got another Watchmen #3. Now, this is one of the ones I definitely know that I had gotten graded. I had great copies of this. I'd had multiple 9.3s of this. 9.8s of this. This right here, I love the series. Issues 2 and 3, I think, were two of my favorites because you get some of the backstory of some of the characters in the Watchmen. Again, this is the old label 9.8. I've sold several of these #3s as 9.8s, and I've done pretty good on that. But like everything else, the market has come down. And again, the idea here is go ahead and get it reholdered, have that 9.8 available. I'll keep it in a PC for the time being. And when we see the market start to uptick a little bit, then I may put it back out there in the market. I'll keep one of my copies, of course, but I will definitely have one here for sale. This right here, right now, the current fair market value on Watchmen #3 is about $140. So as you can see, and I should say, I pretty much had minimum bids on all of these books except for one, and that's going to be one of the two last ones here. I will kind of break even by the time I end up getting this graded if I sold it currently. So again, this is a book I'm just going to hold on to once I get it into that new case. Definitely will make it more presentable. All right, the tough back cover. You got all that black, and I will tell you this, when I clean and press, I generally don't like to use the latex gloves. I like to be able to feel the book, and having that glove on there really takes away that sense that I have on seeing the book and how it feels. But The Watchmen is the one book that I would highly recommend having gloves on when you do that book. For whatever reason, that cover, I've never seen any comic book like this. It may just be because of that black field. It picks it up so easily. The oil's off your hand. And I've never seen anything like it. And I've definitely will have gloves on any of the Watchmen books that I have in at the shop when I'm cleaning and pressing them. But we're going to continue with the Watchmen. I've got issue number 9 right here. I can't honestly remember if I had a 9/8 on one of my PC copies from when I bought these off the stand. I don't remember if I got this one graded or not. But same condition as the other one. Let me show you the back, show you the transition. You can see the blood red coming down. Each issue it comes down further and further, and then you get to issue 12 and it's almost completely covering the clock. But the red picks up the oils just as easy as the black does. Now issue number 9 here is a little bit better than issue number 3. I'm a little surprised about that, but you've got a $170 fair market value currently. Again, prices, if they're on auction right now, if you go and look up auction prices, you definitely will see that the prices are a little bit lower. That's generally the way you see that. If it's an auction bid, whether it's from like a place like Comic Connect or eBay or something, as opposed to a buy it now or a fixed price type listing. But again, I will get this graded, we'll hold on to it, and we'll have something available for somebody at some point. Now, these 3 plus this one right here were all from the same auction. So it came a very expensive day when I put a bid in for these. But this one right here is one that I've got it in my PC, and it fits right into one of my biggest goals out there, even though I've already got it in my PC. But I saw this copy, and I don't mind putting a minimum bid on this. And now this one cost me a few dollars more, but not that much. Honestly, I had one other person put a bid in, and I picked this up for about $110, $112. It is X-Men number 113. The Chris Claremont, John Byrne, Magneto story right here. This is the final battle right there in the middle of the volcano. The X-Men get separated. At the end of in the next issue, of course, the two factions think that the other side had died, and you go into the Savage Land storyline. This right here, I just love this. It was some of the best Magneto writing out there. I love this issue. I love the issue right before this, but not as crazy about this cover. I think it would have been nice to have the more of a close-up of all the characters rather than this pulled away, but still a great issue. Now, one thing that I've noticed when I've been looking for this book raw over the last few years is that this book suffers a lot from the trimming where it was cut when it's produced. And this top cover, I've seen it a very jagged or rough cut up there on a lot of different rolls out there. I've never seen it in the book that I've been in my search parameters out there. I've never seen a book that's been this difficult as opposed to this one right here. This one right here, I don't know what it is, but it seems like there's a lot of books out there that have a jagged edge up here at the top. Now, this is a very good copy, and trust me, when I saw this, I considered maybe breaking it out. Maybe it is a candidate for a clean and press. Maybe get that bumped up to a 9.8 and make it into a super valuable book. That would be a win all day long, because right now 9.6s only go for about $190. That's why I say this right here was a great deal. I seen a few auctions again go for a lot less than that, and once I put in the extra money to have this reholdered, I definitely will be closing that margin that I could have if I decide to sell right now. But what I was saying before was I considered taking this out and getting it cleaned and pressed, but there is a small tick right over, it's right in here, and there is a little spot, looks like I don't know if it's a tear, but there's a little something right there. And I'm not really sure if I would really risk that. Right now, I'm just going to send these books all in to CGC the way they are for a reholder, and hopefully we'll just keep those grades and move on from that. So those were the 4 books that I picked up from this particular auction. Again, I didn't spend much more than the initial bid on any of these. In fact, I didn't have anybody bidding against me on the other 3. This one I had one other bidder, and that's what I'm talking about, going to these Shortboxed auctions. I just think they're ripe, especially some of these minimum bid auctions. I think you can find some hidden gems in there, and I continue every day. I'll go to some of their graded auctions and take a look at the books and see if there's anything that might be worth getting. I see some of these auctions just kind of get overlooked a lot. Now, there was one on today. In fact, I was right before the show, I was looking at it, and it's got some really big keys, more expensive books, and you're actually getting some traction with some bidding on that. But in an auction that like this right here is really a lot of just a random books. There's no theme or anything other than you've got several different sellers who are putting books up into this particular Shortbox auction. But I think what they are, a lot of these auctions like that, they're trying to dump some of these books. They know that they can't get much more for this. They're not going to put the money out to get this reholdered for, basically, they're not going to get much more out of this book. But somebody like me, who loves this book, it's one of my goals. In fact, I mentioned that earlier. The goal is to get every John Byrne X-Men book from issue 108 up to 143 as a 9.6 or 9.8 in the PC, get them all graded. And I'm doing pretty good. It's one I haven't talked about in a while. but it's one that's always there. Now, again, I already have this, so I don't mind putting a little bit of extra in this and having this copy. I think this is a great book. 9.6s are great grades on these books and still pretty desirable. I mean, I went after them over the last couple of years because I found them pretty economical. Even with the market coming down right now, I think this is a time to maybe pick up some of these like this and even hold on to them again. So maybe that's the theme that's starting to come out here, is that these are going to be reholder and hold type books right now. So those were all from the same auction, but the auction right before that, I actually picked up one more X-Men book, and this one right here was already in a brand new slab. And it is a book that I have got raw in my PC, but I do not have it graded whatsoever. And it's a pretty big book. This is the first appearance of Alpha Flight. And trust me, I don't want to go out there and buy a 9.6 of this book. That would be $500-$600 just for the 9.6, and I'm not going to do that. And even raws, you're going to find raws, and you're taking a chance on these things, and that's what I've done. The raws that I've got in my PC, I've taken chances on off of some really pretty decent sellers off of Whatnot. And I still, as part of my problem with Whatnot, is that they're still not showing you the books well enough that you can see and take your time and go back and look at it. You get one instant to look at that book if they show it to you on the camera, and if you miss that one little tick, then you're done. You put all this money into it, and the book was nowhere near what you thought it was going to be. And that's one of the reasons I'm off of Whatnot now. I don't do anything off of Whatnot. It's not to say I won't go back on there, but I've tried to find other sources for books, and I've done pretty good at that. But nonetheless, that's where some of my raws came from. Well, I saw this on the auction, and I took a quick look at it. I read the notes. There's the QR code. There's the number. I could look it up. And what I liked about this, let me see if you can see it right here. Look along the spine right there. You can see the white, the wrap comes around on the front. So what you got right there is a very, very clean spine. There's no spine ticks. And I'm looking at this book, and it is really nice. What it has, there's a stain back here, and you cannot even hardly see it. And I'm sure that's one of the things that's really knocking this down. And I'm actually going to break this one open, and I'm going to crack it open, and I'm going to work on that stain a little bit and see if I can get that. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it out. I think I'm going to reduce it so it's less noticeable. It is not a dark stain, it is just a water stain. So that gives me some hope that I may be able to do something to that. We'll see about that. I'm sure there will be a video about me cracking this open, and we'll see what we do on that. We'll see when I finally do that and take the plunge to get that, because as I said, the front looks fantastic. You've got a very difficult black edge cover right here, and very easy to pick up. Dog ears, little blunting, just a little bump like that, and all of a sudden you've got a colored breaking spine, dog ear right. But this spine over here looks fantastic. I don't see any spine ticks whatsoever. Paper breaking spine ticks. I mean, you're not going to have color breaking ones over here, and it is super clean. I think somebody did a really good job on this book. I think I can take a chance on this book though and see if we can get it bumped up. Cannot wait to try this one out. But that was it from Shortboxed, and I hope you guys get a chance to go on Shortboxed and try out some of their auctions. I know there's a locally, one of the people who goes to a lot of the signings down at Third Eye Comics with me, not with me, but I'm there at the same time for the signings that they have at Third Eye Comics. I've talked with this fellow, and he sells a lot of comics, and he actually does a lot of auctions on Shortboxed, and he does a lot of raw auctions, and he seems like he does pretty good. But I've gone on there and on the auctions, and I don't know if I honestly at this point would really want to get into finding rolls. I have not explored that part of it. If you guys have, though, let me know how you've been doing on that. Right now, I'm sticking to the graded auctions only. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of these auctions, how you've been doing with them, and what books you may have been picking up, and if you're satisfied with what you're finding off of Shortboxed. I'd love to know. But guys, that was it for all the books that I picked up recently off of the Shortboxed auctions. I will continue going back there. But I've got a little bonus for you guys. I was going to save this for another video, but it's only a couple books, and I wanted to give a shout out to a comic book shop that's been around for a while. I've never had a chance to stop in because they're closed on Sundays, and that's generally the time I would be traveling. When I visit my hometown down in West Virginia, I'll be traveling through Winchester, Virginia. And there's a little shop there called Four Color Fantasies. And it's a small little building. It's a very bright blue building. And you guys can check them out. I'll leave a link down below. But it's a very nice little shop. I finally got a chance. When I came back several trips ago, I stopped in Winchester and I got a chance to go there on New Comic Book Day. And I was good and bad both, because what happened was I went in and I was planning on doing some digging, but they had an issue with a lot of their new comic books coming in late, and I don't know if that's a diamond problem or not, but they had comic books laid out everywhere, new comic books, where they were sorting them, and they were right over top of most of the comic book bins. So it limited what I could really do. Now, luckily, I did need some new comic books, and they were able to pull those for me because they knew where they had put them. But for me, going through the back issues, it kind of limited what I could go through. But I did pick up a few good little books that have some value, graded and signed as well. And I continue picking up really decent copies of both of these, actually. I love getting them signed. We've got X Factor number 15. This is a key. You've got the first appearance of Apocalypse's Four Horsemen, as well as the apparent death of Angel. And of course, you've got the very dynamic team of Louise Simonson writing this and Walt Simonson doing the artwork. Just some spectacular work right here. This is a book right here that like I said, I love to take to cons when Walt is there. In fact, I got at least one, maybe two of those signed at the Baltimore Comic Con, and maybe I'll get those graded at some point. I think I just saw recently an auction on eBay, just went with both of them having signed this. It's CGC 9.8. I think it goes for about $200. And that's what I've been finding on Go Collect, recent sales of that signed by both of them, about $200. 9.8 as just a blue label, I wouldn't do at this point, going for about $80. And if you guys don't know, one of the things I'm going to start doing this year, it's not really a goal, but it's something I'm going to do to mitigate sending in too many things to CGC that I shouldn't, is I'm going to have a cutoff of roughly $150. That's a general rule. We'll see how that goes. Value is a 9.8. I may not send the book in if it goes below. 9.8 goes below that. It's just not worth my time. I won't do it. Question then becomes, what happens if it's a 9.6? Well, then we get into doing pre-screens and things like that. But as a general rule, as a 9.8 candidate, I don't want it going under $150 at this point. At this point now, prices have gone up, so I'm not even sure what the price is. I've got the elite membership at CGC, and that might end up being, pushing some of these books like this for the time being. Definitely, I wouldn't get this sent in as a raw. Definitely at $80. I mean, your margins, if you think about selling a book like this, it's just ridiculous. You're wasting your time. Just hold off on a book like this. I'm going to save it for a signing, and that's pretty much the reason I bought the book. And I also picked up, same reason for this one. I love this cover. It's one of my favorites from that series that Walt did. It's issue number 13 of X Factor. And got this beautiful Phoenix, Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey cover. You got Cyclops down at the bottom. Love this cover. And This book actually, to me, it's not really a key, but I thought it's a great cover. It's a beautiful phoenix right there. $110 for a 9.8. It's actually more valuable than what this key, minor key, is. I think it has more to do with the cover than anything. But signed takes it up to about $139, and that is signed. I might do that if it's a 9.8 candidate. That's one of the things I might drop down on something like that, or I may just keep it raw. I don't know. We'll keep it in the PC. I know I've got both of these in the PC. I've got these books signed many years ago when Walt and Louise both lived here in the DC area, and they would go to these shows in the, I guess it's the Armory down in Silver Spring, Maryland. And they were these shows called Serendipity, and they would be there. And I remember just taking so many issues of Thor and X Factor to have Walt and Louise. Well, Louise signing the X Factor, Walt signing both of them. But these were the days where they would sign on the inside covers, on the splash pages. And so I've got a lot of comic books like that, and those are the books that will never get graded. I'll just keep those on my PC. I love those things because I don't want to get them graded and you'll never get to see those autographs again. That's something I think it's kind of cool. But in the recent years, with the advent of CGC and getting the books signed on the cover, I think I've gotten this one as well, signed by both. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and check on that. But again, both of these are 9.8 candidates and both potentials to go into CGC, maybe at a show coming up at some point. They are usually back in Baltimore almost every year. So maybe I hold on to these books. We'll clean and press them. We'll take them to the show. Maybe we'll send them in. I don't know yet. To be determined. But guys, definitely give Four Color Fantasies in Winchester, Virginia a check out. I've got their link down below. Check them out. I hope you guys get a chance to stop. I know if I make it down on the right day, I will stop in there again and hopefully be able to go through more of their back issue bins and give you a better idea of their shop. It was so small though, I really didn't want to film in there. I mean, there were a few other people in there and you're really on top of each other, and it's like that wouldn't be cool filming at that point. Maybe the next time, maybe I'll introduce myself and maybe have that opportunity to film a little bit of the store, but we'll see. To be determined. Anyway, guys, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's comic book haul. Definitely leave me a comment, like I said before, about all the books from Shortboxed as well. What do you think about the books that I picked up from Four Color Fantasies? And if you've ever gone there yourself, I'd love to know. Just leave me a comment down below. All right, guys, I am out of here. Have a great day. I will see you for the next episode. And remember, every comic has a story.